Hi guys, welcome back to another episode on Rancor Reptiles. My name is Hector, and I'm here with you with the Herp Talk. If you like these talks, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below on your suggestion for a future video or your thoughts on this one. And as always, thanks for coming by and checking out my video. Now today I'm coming at you with this Herp Talk. We're going to be talking about 5 different types of animals or reptiles that you should stay away from when you're first jumping into the reptile hobby. If you're part of the hobby already and you've been around for a while, these suggestions really just are common sense. However, if you're new, this might be a bit of a newsflash for you. So do not take this video as you cannot keep these animals, or there should be a ban on these animals. I'm saying that you should first educate yourself on these animals before you decide to pick one up as a pet. With any type of animal pickup, you should always do your research before you buy one or adopt one. So let's start off hot. Number 5, big snakes. Now big snakes is a very subjective term because big means a lot of different things for a lot of people. I believe anything larger than a boa constrictor is considered a big snake. Now local laws or state laws can differ. Sometimes big snakes include boa constrictors, sometimes they include ball pythons, sometimes they include everything but like reticulated pythons and anacondas. So big snakes means a lot of things to different people. However, like I said, anything larger than a boa I'm considering a big snake. These big snakes require a large enclosure with proper enough enrichment. You got to give these guys enrichment. You just can't be inside of a rectangular cell. And they also need proper prey items, right? A 20-foot long reticulated python is going to need larger prey items. You need to be able to find a source for those prey items. You're gonna probably have to find a ranch somewhere that breeds pigs and buy piglets from them to properly feed your animal. Now, people, say, well, the animal's not gonna get to 20 feet tomorrow. You're absolutely right. However, as a responsible reptile keeper, you need to keep these things in your radar. Your 3-foot reticulated python today might only need small rats. However, you need to keep an eye in the future. Keep an eye on where you can buy different prey items that you'll need. Different places where you can buy the enclosure or build one yourself. Get some know-how. Start working on yourself for the future. That way you don't stress out when your animal isn't eating properly sized things or is in a very small enclosure. So moving on to number 4, these are the monitors / iguanas. The reason why I'm adding iguanas to this list is because they're pretty much the same, almost the same size depending on the species of monitor. However, they also require right around the same enclosure space. Monitors, the varanid family, and iguanas are diurnal and they need a lot of moving space. And that's the main thing with the monitors and iguanas, that I see a lot of people pick one up and then they don't offer enough enclosure space. Monitors and iguanas will probably need half of a room in your house for them to properly live. Of course, if you have a smaller monitor, you might not need to give up a whole half of room in your house. If you get small monitors like Ackies or Dampier Peninsula monitors that I did a video on, you might not need to sacrifice too much space in your house for the animal. However, understand that these animals were all extremely active, and you shouldn't really keep monitor lizards or big snakes or anything like that on minimum terms. You should always give more than the minimum. That way your animal has room to basically roam and walk around in. Same thing with iguanas. They're very active. Make sure you give them enough space. However, with monitor lizards, they have very aggressive food response. They eat a lot. Depending on the size of your monitor, it will determine whether they eat a lot or they'll eat you out of your house, right? So you gotta be paying very special attention to that. Some monitors also require water features, like the Asian water monitor that requires a nice big body of water for them to swim and soak in. So you gotta keep that in mind as well. So this is a lot of work, expensive setup. However, the animal themselves usually aren't that expensive, which I believe shouldn't be. Moving on to number 3. Pretty simple. Crocodilians. Crocodilians, I don't need to emphasize on how dangerous they can be. They can basically tear a chunk out of you. They can take an arm out of you. You should not get a crocodilian simply because you want one as a pet and you think they're cool. You know, a lot of people pick one up simply because they think they'll be awesome pets, they'll be able to show off, and they very quickly end up becoming tantrum monsters that the owners themselves are scared to put their hands on. So just simply stay away from crocodilians. They get very large, though you say, oh well, you know, a dwarf caiman only gets 4 feet. Yeah, it's 4 feet of a freaking caiman. They get their jaws on you and it will suck. So stay away from crocodilians, please. Alright, so moving on to number 2, and that is cicada tortoises. Why the heck is a tortoise so high on the list? I have big snakes that can wrap and kill you, monitors that can take a chunk out of you and take a chunk out of your house, crocodilians that can straight up rip arms off of you. The reason why I put cicada tortoises so high on the list is because people buy these animals when they're small. They're fairly inexpensive as well, and they're not prepared for the big boulder of an animal this thing becomes. A lot of times, besides ball pythons, these are one of the animals I've seen mostly in reptile rescues. When the animal becomes large enough to become a bother for the family, or they live long enough that they outlived their family, they're very quickly dumped to a rescue. Now, tortoises, unlike big snakes and monitor lizards, aren't very intimidating. So people pick them up thinking that they're awesome pets, and they are awesome pets. However, they aren't the proper pets for everyone that buys them. So you gotta keep in mind that this animal will get larger. Though it is a vegetarian and, you know, doesn't eat bugs or rats or things like that, this animal will need to eat a lot. Once it gets to its adult size, you're going to basically be feeding them a garden every week. So when you're buying a tortoise, please make sure that it's something you're able to take care of in the long term. Tortoises usually don't bump into problems when it comes to legal things, like they're illegal in some areas for whatever reason. Usually tortoises aren't under that. They're very non-invasive. So it's just the sheer fact that these animals get sent to rescues so much, and that people pick them up completely ignorant of what the animal needs. In the long run, this tortoise will suffer if you don't take proper care. So this animal is not so much as a risk to you. You are more of a risk to this animal if you come into that relationship unprepared. Lastly are venomous snakes or venomous lizards, anything that has medically significant venom. I'm excluding hognose and Madagascar mangrove snakes. Yeah, I think just mangrove snakes. Mangrove snakes, simply because those are rear-fanged venomous animals and their venom usually isn't medically significant. I'm talking about vipers. I'm talking about rattlesnakes. I'm talking about gaboon pit vipers. I'm talking about rhino vipers. I'm talking about the guys that can send you to the hospital and make you rack up a huge bill that you'll probably spend the rest of your life trying to pay off if you live in the United States. The reason why the venomous snakes are usually on top of a lot of people's list is because people that are unprepared by these animals and they have no formal training, they're unsure of what to do. They keep these animals in unsecured enclosures. The snake manages to get out, God forbid, knock on wood, and then the snake manages to get out of the snake room, God forbid, and it manages to get to the front yard where it can cause a bit of drama. Now, the reason why I think this animal places first in a lot of lists is not because it can kill you. However, it can cause a bit of controversy around keeping reptiles. If, like I said, this venomous snake manages to get out of its enclosure, manages to get out of your house and goes onto the street, where people notice that it's a venomous snake because its coloration is off and it has a mean look on its face. People take pictures, people call the news, people call the police, and it very quickly becomes a headline on a newspaper, on a tabloid or something. And that immediately spells backlash for anyone keeping reptiles in your state, most likely. It's a very quick knee-jerk reaction from the public to limit any type of public danger. So if a venomous snake gets loose, they're immediately going to try and see who did it and if they can crack down on it. If it's a jackass that was neglectful, you bet your ass that person is probably going to get fined. Now, very quickly, this conversation is going to spiral out of control, and they're going to put down some limitations on the animals you can and can't keep. Included in that will probably be large reptiles, including big snakes and big monitors, maybe iguanas, usually not tortoises. So it's like a snowball effect, because one jackass couldn't properly take care of the animal, the whole community around is going to suffer because of it. Now, I strongly suggest that if you are looking to get into venomous snakes, that you take proper training on how to manage that snake, how to properly house the snake, where to properly house the snake, right? If you're in a room with no windows and it's just sheetrock from wall to wall, if it's only a door, you only have to worry about closing a door. However, if you live in a room that has 50 windows and you keep them open to air out the room constantly, then that becomes an issue. Now, there's different laws in different states, different localities as well, that basically govern on how you can and can't keep venomous snakes. Sometimes you need to be certified, sometimes you need paperwork, sometimes you need people to come and inspect where you're keeping the enclosure of your snake and the room you're keeping that enclosure. However, it's very easy for a jackass to buy a venomous snake from an expo, keep it inappropriately, and then it spelled backlash for everyone else. So don't be that jackass. Properly train, properly keep, and properly maintain your animals. Don't end up on the news and making it suck for the rest of us. Now, towards the end, I really want to talk about the overarching theme of this video. Is basically, do not keep any animal that you're not prepared to keep. I've gone into rants about this with friends and all that. If there is an animal that you want, however you're unprepared financially, you don't have the proper amount of space, you're just not prepared for it, you should not get that animal at the first opportunity you get. I love gilded lizards. I really enjoy sun gazers. I love them. They're great, awesome lizards that I would pay a kidney to get. However, because of my living conditions, I basically live in a room. I don't have enough space for them. That is my limiting factor here. I don't have enough space. So even if they were offered to me for $20, I would probably not buy them because I can't keep them. At least not properly. I can't make space. I'm at my limit. Right? If someone offers me a very exotic animal that I've never seen before and looks awesome, but it only eats flies from the tropical regions of Madagascar, I can somehow get a hold of them, but they cost $50 a pop, I won't be able to keep that animal simply because I can't afford it. Right? So look into the future. If you're looking to get a reptile, look into what it eats as a baby and as an adult, how much space it's going to need to keep up. If there's any types of laws regarding that type of animal, if you were to move tomorrow, would it be an issue? When I moved here, I quickly explained that how ball pythons, they're non-venomous, they only get to around 5 feet. They're non-dangerous, they're in their proper enclosures. They're not a big deal. Talked with the landowner about it. He saw them. He didn't have an issue. Showed him, and I have some small geckos along too. He didn't care about those. If you're moving to a new place and you're trying to take a 20-foot reticulated python with you, you're going to get a lot of people shaking their heads at you simply because a 20-foot snake is damn dangerous. It is, even though it can be puppy dog tame. Maybe the snake has a bad day and it nips you and it wraps you. People just don't want to be responsible for that in their, anywhere. If they own the house and they're landlords, they don't want to be responsible and, give you the okay, you can keep it. Same thing with Venomous. So make sure that if you're going to keep an animal, make sure that you have all your ducks in a row, whether it's living conditions and things and prey items that you're going to need, right? Maybe you're going to have to breed your own rats. Maybe you're going to have to breed your own roaches. Maybe you'll have to order online, even though they're more expensive. Maybe you're going to have to meet that animal's basic care needs. So don't get into anything don't be in over your head and get anything you can't afford to keep. Alright, so that's been this video. If you like the video, please leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. As always, thanks for coming by and watching me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.